Previously on the Jay and Dan podcast.
You're like the Michael Vick of the Peterborough County. I used to get rocks as a kid at Christmas. Daddy, what are we getting? Rocks again. You pick them.
Post-nasal drip or something in my right nostril.
You got a little problem with the booger sugar, Dan? A nurse walks in on you. You're an old man. You know what? Whatever. I'm going to be dead soon. Watch me. What do I care? What?
You can't say that.
You're listening to the Jay and Dan podcast, brought to you by Mark's Never Iron Perfectly Pressed Shirts.
Dance. Dance.
It's the right music.
We got the right music this week.
This podcast is already off to a great start.
Big improvement over week one. Though, how can you improve over week one, Dan? Huge success. We want to thank everyone out there who sent us messages on Twitter. Lots of places you can get a hold of us. At Jay and Dan TSN, at Jay Onright, at TSN O'Toole, or at TSN 1050 Radio. Just an overwhelmingly positive response. I was expecting a lot of people to hate it, frankly.
I think the people that hated it, they just didn't write to us.
Right. That's right. At least as many people hated it as liked it. They were just too lazy to tell us that they hated it.
I think at John DN28 summed it up best. He said, finally listen to the podcast. Cat piss, London, old people train sex, yoga pants, pig drowning, hashtag something for everyone.
It really did have something for everyone. It really did. It's a podcast for the people. And we're number one on iTunes after 1 week. There's nowhere to go but down, Dan.
Number one for podcasts hosted by guys named Jay and Dan.
Perfect.
Why not, eh?
Why not?
That was included in a lot of hashtags, too.
Yes. Everyone loves Why Not, eh? By the way, the podcast brought to you by Mark's Perfectly Pressed Shirts.
It's no thanks on iTunes at number one to my wife. She said she couldn't find it, and then I went and looked what she was searching. She was searching my complete given Christian name, I believe, Daniel Gerard John. No, it's called the Jay and Dan podcast.
The Daniel Gerard O'Toole podcast. Mrs. O'Toole's made a pretty good point of saying she doesn't watch SportsCenter with us, so there's no reason to believe she would want to listen to us for an hour.
And she said, it's okay.
If we had a poster for the podcast, we'd just say, it's okay, Mrs. O'Toole. It was a fun week, though. We had a good week. And the referees are back, Dan.
I love it.
Oh, the NFL referees are back. If we could just go back to the reason we think the referees are back, and pretty much the entire sporting world thinks that the referees are back in the National Football League, the blown call in the Monday Night Football game between Seattle and the Green Bay Packers.
After further ado, the call on the field stands. Touchdown.
Oh, it's a bad call. This is the fear of these replacement officials, that at some point during the season, they're going to cost a team a victory.
And then Commissioner Goodell, just incredible gumption on this guy. Gumption? I like saying that. Afterwards, when they came to a deal with the referees on Wednesday night, this is what he said in regards to that blown call, saying, oh, that wasn't the reason we settled with the refs.
I believe we would have reached agreement this week, regardless of Monday night or Sunday night or the past weekend. Everybody was to the point of getting this concluded.
Yeah, right, Goodell.
Didn't they meet till 2 a.m. Tuesday?
Yeah, Goodell, so full of crap. Just completely full of I said that deliberately so we could get another beep in there. People love the beeps.
So they're back. That was a good part of the week.
Oh, now before we move on, though.
Oh.
I know you want to move on, but wait, we have to talk about this Aaron Rodgers clip. So Aaron Rodgers was talking about what happened in that Monday Nighter, and there's a reporter who chimed in with a Take a listen to this.
The games are getting out of control. I'm okay with replacement refs as long as they don't have a direct impact on the game. Obviously, last night, there was a direct impact on the game.
I want to hear that entire interview.
Can we hear that one more time, Christoph? Because I just,
The games are getting out of control. I'm okay with replacement refs as long as they don't have a direct impact on the game.
Here's my next question.
Tell me more, Aaron. He sounded like Fozzie Bear. He sounded like Fozzie.
Say, a funny thing happened to me on the way to the theater. At the stage door, I passed a bunch of Muppet fans, and suddenly I hear... Good grief, the comedian's a bear! No, he's a nut. He's a wearing a necktie.
Was that the old Fozzie or the new Fozzie?
You've made a pretty big point about the fact that you don't like the new voices of the Muppets.
I actually saw the new Muppet movie. It wasn't that bad.
It was good.
Yeah.
Jason Segel wrote it. I enjoyed it. So tell us about your week, Dan.
Could you tone back on the singing a little?
That's every movie they always sang. Like, we just don't remember that as kids.
Could you tone it down?
It was always a singing movie. Every movie they did, they would sing.
Although we do break into song at the O'Toole house.
Just randomly throughout the day?
It's an ongoing thing. Like, well, I'll ask my daughter, I'll say, do you want something to eat? And she'll say, I'll have some applesauce. And,
Your daughter sound like an 85-year-old man?
Anyway, that's what we do.
That's just a typical day in the O'Toole.
It's like an opera.
Yeah, it's an opera, all right.
In
an
English.
Opera of is what
You
it
can't
is.
keep saying that.
Well, I'm testing our sensors. Want to make sure they're on the ball.
Hey, we had an interesting week. We went to Sudbury.
We had a great time in Sudbury. That was our first time to Sudbury, and we went to MC an event up there.
I saw the Nickel again. I saw it first time in 1986. It is a sight to behold.
Yeah, we went up, saw the Nickel.
But it's not as big. If you go back as an adult, it's not as big as when you saw it as a kid. Just like the Toronto Zoo, I went as a kid and went back as an adult, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this place is tiny.
There's cats here. There's stray dogs. There's a lizard. Maggie the monkey and her 7 falling on the floor.
Maggie the monkey is at the Bowmanville Zoo.
Oh, Bowmanville Zoo, right.
I actually was there this summer, and I asked one of the monkey keepers, I said, which one's Maggie? The one that used to be on TSN. They're like, someone else asked me that. I don't know.
Great. I'm glad that was such a big draw for them.
But as I said to Duffy, I said, why don't they have a sign up? They could be capitalizing on this. Like, here's sorry, I hit my microphone. Here's the monkey that was on TV. Instead, it's just eating its poop.
Just eating its poop and watching its tits fall farther to the floor.
And it's very depressing. They just sit there in a bowl. They sit in their own bowl.
Bowl of their own crap?
No, it was an empty bowl.
But they just sit in an empty bowl?
Yeah. That's the life of a monkey.
Guys, we need to clean the monkey bowls. Makes no sense whatsoever. But there was a very disturbing thing that happened in Sudbury today.
Well, here's what happened. It wasn't very disturbing for me. I checked into the hotel and did my regular routine. I geared down, right down to my gitch, laid out my suit.
And you were preparing to take a dump, probably.
No road games for this guy. No. Hotel or home. That's it.
Right. Always home games for you. You're very adamant that you will never, ever take a dump anywhere other than your hotel room or your house.
I don't know if everyone needed to know that.
Well, I know the president of TSN, Stuart Johnston, I asked him what he thought of the podcast. He said, could have done with all the talk about taking dumps. So I'm pretty sure he'll enjoy episode 2.
I once had to take one in Cuba, and at the Cuba airport, I don't know which one it was, they had like saloon doors. So there's no privacy. You're just waving to folks.
I'm taking a dump.
Anyway,
saloon doors.
So I'm in my underwear and ready to have a little nap, and I laid my suit out, and that's a regular check-in for me. I don't know what the problem was.
Yeah, well, then I go to check in after Dan, and first of all, I asked the girl. She had a tattoo on her breastplate. It was like a kaleidoscope on her breastplate.
It was a star, right?
And I was like, wow, did that hurt to get that tattoo? She said, well, I was a lot thinner back then. I'm like, I don't really care how fat or thin you are now.
Well, she must have meant there was less padding, so it probably hurt more.
Yeah, no.
So she got it done now.
So then she gives me my key, and I go,
Yep.
She's like, you're in 40 something. I'm like, all right. I said, I think Dan is probably next door. That's disturbing. So I go to put my key in the door, and I open the door, and there's Dan in his gitch. and I were given the keys to the same room, and I opened the door, and Dan is just standing there staring at me in his gitch.
I was holding my pants, about to put them on a hanger or something, and so we just locked eyes, and there I am in my underwear, and there's you.
Like just the world stood still, if only for a moment. Dan Gitch. Thank God you weren't doing something else. And I'm not talking about taking a dump. You know what I'm talking about. Because we all know when we go to a hotel on the road, SpectraVision is sometimes involved.
And I don't think they have that anymore.
Well, okay, or whatever the equivalent of SpectraVision now is.
And then you didn't leave immediately. You decided to strike up a conversation. You said, oh, you got room service already, because there was a plate of food sitting there.
It's true. There was like a giant plate of cheese.
There was a cheese plate.
How the hell did you get a giant plate of cheese up here in the time it took me to talk to bony breastplate tattoo chick?
So it was something from the hotel. So and then you proceeded to sit down and eat from my cheese. No, you didn't do that. You eventually left.
I had enough of you and your gaunch. Again, that's another thing that unites us as Canadians, the different ways we say gitch, gaunch, gotch.
Can I tell a similar story that happened to Geno Retta? I don't know if... Yeah, he won't mind me telling this. I think he's proud of it.
He loves it. He loves when we talk about it.
It was... he was covering one of the entry drafts, and he had gone to his room and just had a shower. He just checked in, and so Geno, in his towel, probably a great tuft of man hair on his chest.
Probably just a nice Italian tuft of hair just in between his nipples.
So...
Oh, me, oh, my.
So he had just gotten out of the shower, and the same kind of deal. He's standing there close to the door, and he hears a key enter, and then the door open, and it was one of... I have to find out what player it was, but it was one of the players who was about to be drafted's mom. So there they are, standing in Geno's room, Geno in a towel.
Can you just imagine if Geno just dropped that towel and said, "Come to Papa"?
Well, that's when they tell the story now, that's probably what happens. And just like our story is going to turn into, I was buck naked or something. And, and a woman with a star tattoo was in my room.
That's right. You were fondling her bony breastplate. I don't know.
So, yeah, thanks for all our friends in Sudbury for showing us a good time.
We had a great time. People get mad at us when we don't tweet that we're in their town, but I mean, it seems weird for us to do.
We were there less than 24 hours.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Hey, we're here.
Yeah, hey, who wants to come see us? Dan's got his gitch on in room 406.
It's 402.
Oh, sorry.
It was a nice room, too.
Meanwhile, this week on the show, producer Tim, wow, so stressed out. You talk about the breathing often, the way he breathes into our ear. It reached extreme proportions this week, Dan. I don't know if you could reminisce a little bit. This is what it sounded like. This is it. Here it comes. It's coming.
Can't wait.
It's going to sound like I recorded. That was producer Tim. That was a long build-up for one Darth Vader breath. Oh, there it is.
If you YouTube, I'm going to see what you have to YouTube, but if you YouTube Darth Vader, I'm going to type it in here. Darth Vader,
Breathing.
Oh, yeah. Darth Vader breathing 10 hours. There's 10 hours of Darth... I thought you could only do like an hour on YouTube, but there's 10 hours of Darth Vader breathing. So you can put that on the background of a party.
I think that's hilarious. I love that.
We do break it out the odd time in the newsroom. I also wanted to bring up something. I was in my hometown of Peterborough, Ontario, and I witnessed the Peterborough Lakers win the Man Cup, which is the senior championship. I know a lot of the guys. I went to school with them, grew up with them, so it was great seeing them raise a championship trophy in the rink that I've been coming to all my life. It was a very great moment. Proceeded to go out and celebrate with the team, and I wanted to get a bite to eat before I met up with them, so I went to a restaurant and ran into a older woman. She wasn't young. She wasn't 90. She wasn't 20.
Give us an age. Give us an estimated age.
45.
Okay.
So we had done a video for some event that I hosted in Peterborough way back when, and she had seen it, and she said, "Oh, I just love your broadcast partner, Gian, right? I was like, yeah, he's a great guy. He's funny. And she goes, no, I really like him. Like, you have to hook me up with him. I'm like, oh. Then she's like, my 2 sons, they keep saying, Mom, you got to go out with him. I'm like, what? Yeah. So
her kids are pimping her out to me?
So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe. She goes, you aren't going to do it. So this went on for half an hour. She would not let up. And I'm just like, I got to go. And she goes, I hope you die a miserable life.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you die a miserable life too. But I don't want to hook up with a 70-year-old mom.
I was rattled. I don't know if she was a witch, if she had cursed me for all eternity. So I actually went up to her and before I left. I'm like, I'm sorry, but did you cast a spell on me? She goes, no, I was just kidding. I'm like, oh my goodness. I hugged her. It was like, oh, I was distraught. So all thanks to you.
Did you get her number for me?
I did not.
Daddy's pretty lonely right now.
Instant family, though.
That would be perfect for me. Then I could catch up to you.
And depending on how old they are, you could have instant, drinking buddies.
That wouldn't be so bad, except the problem is then they'd be like, yeah, I know she's your wife now, but we're going to pimp her out to someone else to make some money. Dan, we're so excited about our guests on the podcast this week. We've wanted to have these guys on for a long time. Sure, I know the podcast is only a week old, but we've really been hoping for this one for a while. They were the hosts of Cheap Seats on ESPN Classic. I know you love that show.
One of my favorite shows of all time.
They've guested on many of our favorite shows, including Entourage and Curb Your Enthusiasm. They are stand-up comedians extraordinaire. I want to ask them about their last visit to Canada when only one of them was able to make it across the border. But most importantly, they, like us, have their own spectacular podcast called Sklar Bro Country. Here is a recent clip from their podcast. Their guest was Adam Carolla.
Female nurses used to wear tight-fitting, form-fitting, candy stripe kind of things, and it kept them in check. But now...
That's the one thing that I feel like nurses recently have been just completely out of check.
They've
been unchecked for way too long.
They've been running wild. Rampant. Roughshot over the hospital community.
Over the medical profession.
Seriously, if you see the nursing students that come out of the subway over on, Highland and Hollywood, they're now wearing scrubs.
Right.
And this is what happened to ex-pro athletes who are now wearing sweatsuits. They're not confining.
Carolla. Jason and Randy Sklar, how are you?
We are good, but you know what we're also hearing right now? The Monday Night Football game, in addition to you guys. We want to just hear you.
Oh,
Thursday.
no.
But the Thursday night game. That's how bad we are.
You're hearing the Monday. We're a little behind here in Canada, guys.
Yeah, so. Right. What time zone are you guys in?
Yeah, we're going to present you with that Monday nighter because we want you to hear that Hail Mary again, just as you can react to it.
What a great call that was. I love that the NFL is saying that catch didn't spur them to now settle things with the refs.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
didn't do it.
No.
We were in intense talks. We were ready to do that. This is honestly, it's like the NFL was with the replacement refs was dating a really hot chick who's crazy, and they're going around to everyone going, "Isn't she great? Come on, she's great, right? She's cool." No, she's just not cool. Your wallet. She's very loud. She's ruining your brand, bro. You had sex with your best friend. She's helping you lose the advertisers. Stop doing it.
And now they're back with the stable nurse in track pants type woman.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God the misshapen arms of Ed Hockley are back to welcome us.
Now, guys, what was your reaction when you saw that call? Because I saw Onrights firsthand. We were in the SportsCenter newsroom watching the game, and I looked over, and when we saw the on-field call from the refs, and Onright's reaction was the poster from Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin. That's exactly the face he did.
My reaction was Macaulay Culkin today, which was just drugged out
right.
and just burned his apartment down. Just burned my apartment down and killed somebody. But no, actually, my reaction was, and I tweeted this, I was like, boxing thinks that was a bad call. I think the Marriage Ref, which is a show in America, that guy Tom Papa, he should be a better ref than that.
We have the Marriage Ref. Does Papa do that and call NFL games too?
He should.
He probably.
I feel like he'd have a better perspective sitting in his studio. Yeah, than what just happened right there. I mean, that was just like the epitome of what is bad.
Like 9 things also happen on that play. Like Golden Tate pushed someone in the back, and now admits it, and then like 8 other things happen on that play.
Which we've also freely said that like Golden Tate is like,
It sounds like a euphemism for
something sexual and weird, right?
Right. Well,
give her a Golden Tate.
If it was only a golden taint, right? That area between your balls and your anus.
a Golden Tate is when you pee on that area.
In that
right.
area.
That's perfect. You guys have created a whole sexual thing now. You guys
and really,
better
it's
copyright it.
It's less about being sexually arousing and more about being really accurate.
It takes a ton of accuracy to work on that.
We always talk about the end of the internet when you exhaust your searches for things, and I believe that move would probably be near the end of the internet.
At that point, you have to just give your computer back and just be like, "I'm sorry,
I went there. I went to the top level of Donkey Kong. It's the Golden Tate. You kill the monkey, you jump over the thing,
you grab the Golden Tate,
and start selling hot sauces. You're done."
Right.
Tell us about the time, and we talked about it when you guys had me on the radio. You guys filling for Jim Rome all the time. I was supposed to come see you guys at the Comedy Bar in Toronto, and I asked you about it, and you said, only one of us made it. What exactly happened that day?
Not only will we tell you about it, we'll tell you about it. Here's what happened. This is crazy, okay? And this, by the way, I don't know if you guys have kids, but this just tells you where we are in our lives. When you have little kids, this is the kind of thing that happens to you. Like, I was just amazed that I even found my passport, let alone check it. And I looked at it quickly, and it said 13 February, and that's all I said. I don't have to get this thing updated until February 2013, right?
So we're in Minneapolis the night before. On a Saturday morning, go to the airport to fly to Toronto to do these 2 sold-out shows. Yeah, I'm bragging about sold-out shows at a 90-seat venue. Yeah.
I'll tell you something. It's a beautiful basement venue. It's
awesome,
There's
actually.
probably 6-foot ceilings in there.
It's a great place to see comedy. Really, really great place to see comedy. So we're psyched. We're geeked to go. And Randy gives
go to the airport. I give the guy my passport, and the guy's typing for an inordinately. I was like, you should not be typing that one. What are you typing on right now? And he's like, you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. I was like, what? And I literally had a breakdown. First of all, I was like, why is Canada so like 5 years ago, maybe even you could go like on your driver's license. 5 years ago, I went to Canada on a piece of mail. I mean, like you can. It's just what is Canada worried about? That we're going to come up and like TP Anne Marie's house? No, we're not going up there and. Are we going to make Geddy Lee start mowing his lawn with his shirt on? No, we're not going to do that. Are we going to throw eggs at Gordon Lightfoot? No. We won't. So suddenly Canada's like hard-boiled eggs at Gordon Lightfoot.
That's
Canada's harder to get into than like Harvard. Okay, so I was like, all right, fine. I can't get in. I was really upset. Jay's like, I can go. I'm like, you go. I don't know what you're going to do. I'm going and on the plane mapping out an apology to all these people, and I'm blaming Randy every sentence. I'm so angry. So while he's in the air, I'm like doing the one thing I could do. I go back to the well, you could be doing a lot of things. I could be doing a lot of things. I went Golden Tate. That's right. Golden Tating. No, I went back to the motel that I was staying at. It wasn't even a Days Inn. It was just a Days. Okay, that's how bad it was. It wasn't even a Days Inn. So I'm staying at a Days, which, you know the Wi-Fi at a Days is not going to be. It's like never going to be like all 4 bars. So I asked the club in Toronto, the Comedy Bar, if they had Skyping capabilities on a big screen behind Jay, and they said yes. So we did set up Skype. We did something that you could not do 5 years ago. You couldn't do this or 8 or 9 years ago. I mean, this is something that could have only happened right now. I feel like it may be the only inter-country, interstate, intercity, different time zones, where I sat in a motel room and delivered half of our act while Jay was on stage, and the timing was so far off that I had to guess what he was saying and say it 3 seconds ahead of time. But look, and then afterwards they brought me out at a computer, and I sat at a laptop with a headset on at the merch table. People could talk to me in the hotel room. And it was it was actually a really unique experience. Nobody walked out. No one asked for their money back. So I'm very proud of that. But we will be coming back, and we told this is what I'm going to say. We will be coming back and to the Comedy Bar, and we told them that we would do a live Sklar Bros Country, of which we want both of you guys to be on that show. Is that something you guys can do?
Oh, I'm in. We can totally do that. We've got to
right now that you will be on that show.
If you can deliver Henderson, we're in.
Yeah, if you can deliver. Yeah, as Paul Osbaldiston, we're in.
We can deliver the head of Paul Henderson to you.
Paul Henderson. Yes.
And Golden's Taint.
So, guys, down in the States, you guys solved your officiating problem in the NFL. We have our NHL lockout still ongoing. Does anyone in the United States know this?
Yeah, and I mean, we're bummed because you grew up in St. Louis, and we were huge Blues fans growing up, and L.A. I mean, the Kings have a chance. Like, seriously, like they're a great team, and it's a great nucleus of the team playing really well. Like, you have a chance in L.A. to create a dynasty. I'll say it, and if that gets sidetracked because of a lockout, that'll be horrible.
I just think this is death for the NHL. Like they can't.
The first time it happened, it moved to the Home and Garden Network here in the United States. Next, I think you'll only be able to watch
watch it on like an iPhone 5. Like that's the only place you can watch the
crappy charger. Yeah,
right. You'll need an app for it.
You'll need an app to watch the NHL.
So Gary Bettman is not well. Like you've probably seen when he hands out the Stanley Cup.
But does anyone even know who he is?
Yeah, does anyone know Gary Bettman?
Gary Bettman.
Gary Bettman is we know him. He's a terrible guy. And
I would say this. In Canada, the casual person who's not even necessarily into hockey would know who Gary Bettman is.
Correct.
Here in the United States, not everyone does. But if you know sports, you know him, and you kind of are like, who the hell is this clown? He's a clown.
Why is he doing this?
Like,
what are you doing?
Like, at this point, like, that league should be giving out pucks to people on the street. Like, you need to get more people involved.
But even with the Kings Cup win, how visible are the Kings in the city of Los Angeles? You got USC, you got the Dodgers.
No, they're not. I mean, they're not. Brandon and I were saying here, like on the radio here, we said, I think they're going to have to win 2, maybe 3 for them to become like a huge thing in Los Angeles.
In order for people to really know, when Gretzky came down and they made the cup, like Gretzky was big enough to galvanize people to go to hockey games. Now, by the way, there is a loyal fan base that
fills that stadium.
That fills Staples Center, but LA is a city of millions, and filling a 19,000 seat arena is not a difficult thing in this city.
I saw the Scorpions in concert, and they filled that place. So
but here's the problem: there's one guy probably
over and over and over,
over and over again.
Oh, winds have changed, dude. Seriously,
oh, that's true.
I guess Klaus Meine can't whistle in front of 18,000 people.
Yeah, let's hear it. Oh, that's a good whistle.
That's a good whistle.
There's one guy hoping the Kings don't form a dynasty because then he's not going to be the biggest celeb there. Cuba Gooding Jr. Is it Cuba or Cuba?
Cuba Gooding Jr. Isn't he doing like just gay cruises from here on out?
I think he is.
It's Gay Cruise 7, Golden Taint.
That's
Golden Taint. That's right.
3 golden taints for everyone on the Lido deck.
By the way, you're listening to the Jay and Dan podcast brought to you by Mark's Perfectly Pressed Pants.
No, it's shirts. You keep saying pants.
Crap. I always get the sponsor wrong.
When Cuba Gooding comes around, they press the pants. You guys can still go to Cuba from Canada.
Yes, we can.
I'm going to Cuba next week.
By the way, Jay and I have both been to Cuba against the law, against our will,
That's
against
true.
George W. Bush's wishes at the time. And we went down there, and amazing trip, like so cool. And meanwhile, it was like such a great and exotic place. It's only 90 miles off the coast of Florida. Meanwhile, people in Canada are like, "Hey, you want to go somewhere cheap? Go to Cuba.
Yeah, pop on down there, get some cigars.
Maybe Bettman will be down there giving out free pucks."
You have to wear an adult diaper though, because you get
did you guys
poopy
have
pants.
explosive diarrhea when you went to Cuba?
Yeah, that's what they say. Like that's a bad thing.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's bad. Some people like it.
How many what the puck articles have come out in Canada? Like, how crazy is Don Cherry? How crazy is Don Cherry?
You know what's funny, guys? He is silent right now. I mean, if he doesn't have his platform, right, because there's no games, if he doesn't have that Saturday night platform, he's not going to do a podcast. He's not going to do a radio show. He's hanging out in his basement in Mississauga with Hazel McCallion, making sweet love to the 92-year-old mayor of that city.
Why not? Do you think he does it in the giant red furry hat?
Oh, yeah.
I think he talks to the hat and gets answers. I think he's getting answers from the hat, guys.
Matching Gitch. And by the way, do they say Gitch or Gaunch in the United States? That's what we call underwear.
I don't know. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I just know that Don Cherry owns suits that are uglier than NBA draft day suits. Yeah. There are people who are like from the Ukraine who are getting drafted in the NBA who are like, dude, why don't you just get some class?
Craig Sager is like a very subtle dresser compared to...
Craig Sager is...
Right.
Sager would say, Don Cherry, you got to tone it down.
Right, exactly. Hey, I also wanted to ask you guys. You mentioned to me you directed a video for the Sheepdogs, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan's own Sheepdogs. We're huge fans of those guys. Tell us how you came to do that.
Guys. Yeah, we met them. We were fans of their music. So many people were, because we play a lot of indie rock and sort of expose people to bands here and on when we guest host Rome's radio show on our podcast, Sklar Bros Country, and when we do the Rome show. And so we really, someone was like on our Twitter, you got to listen to the Sheepdogs. They're amazing. And so we said, okay, we checked them out. They're incredible. They're making classic rock today. making classic rock today, just incredible stuff. And then we were in New York, and we were shooting our United States of America, which is a History Channel show that we did, and we went to this thing called Petty Fest, which was amazing. Like a bunch of like awesome musical artists, The Strokes, and like Harmar Superstar, and like all these like Nora Jones, and people from Saturday Night Live, and they're all covering Petty songs. And the Sheepdogs came up and blew everyone away. After the show, we're hanging out downstairs in the lounge, and the lead singer comes up to us. Ewan is like, dudes, what are you doing here? And for us, that was such a huge moment because we were like, oh, we just were listening to you and playing. He's like, I know you guys have played us on Rome and whatnot, and we've started friendship there. Then they were at South by Southwest when we were there. They were in Seattle, and we hung out at like a AEMP at the music museum there, which was awesome. And then they played live on our podcast in South by, and then they were coming out here for Coachella, and they said, you guys, we want to direct we have a video idea. Or we actually want to do a video for our new upcoming album release and for the single. You know, would you guys want to be interested in directing? Have you ever done anything like that? And of course, we were like, yes, even though we never had. And we said,
sure.
Randy had an idea. What if a group of grown men, adults, played baseball against a Little League team, but really the adults tried as hard as they could to destroy them? And every result was like, there's just no shame or no self-awareness whatsoever. Like, if you hit it out, you're going to flip the bat. That's right. Flip the bat. You're going to taunt the fans. You're going to take it around the bases, knock a kid's glove off. And so that's what we shot. They were really funny. They did a great job. And it's we got our buddy John Doerr, who from the hilarious John Doerr television show up there, who we've worked with down here. He did funny stuff in it. And it's called The Way It Is. The Sheepdogs, The Way It Is. You can watch it on YouTube. But it was really fun to do. The Way It Is, The Sheepdogs.
So we're going to check that out. You got to go to Sklar Bros Country. Now, iTunes, the place to check out your podcast, right, guys?
Or earwolf.com, which if you go to earwolf.com, you can listen to the podcast and listen to the old ones. But iTunes, you can go to iTunes. Subscribe in iTunes, and that's good to go. It's free. It drops 2 a week. We do a shorter version on Tuesdays called Sklar Bros County, more bite-sized, like 45 minutes to an hour. And then on Fridays, we do like an hour and a half, hour 45 podcast every week. And we got, good, lots of comedy people, had some good guests in the past. John Hamm, Zach Galifianakis, Fred Armisen, really good comedy people. Yet at the same time, Rich Eisen and good sports people as well.
Earwolf? Did the creators of Airwolf come up with that website?
No, it had nothing to do with the helicopter.
It was Jan Michael Vincent's idea. He came up with it in a Coke bender back in '87.
I'm going to say he didn't come up with it, but he's going to take credit for it. You bet your ass he's going to take credit for it.
And one more thing, guys. Cheap Seats, is it on DVD yet?
No, we're working so hard to try and make that happen. Here's the deal. There are split-track master tapes where our audio's on one track and the actual original master tapes with none of our audio's on another track. We need those tapes because if there are songs that we can't clear that would cost the whole production, we have to be able to do it, but we can't do it if all the audio's on one track. So those tapes
just like WKRP in Cincinnati, right?
That's exactly. They can't release it. So for us, we're saying we need to go to Bristol, go to the mothership, and try and find these tapes. And we might shoot a documentary of us looking for the tapes and actually try and find that and include that in there.
That could be a 30 for 30 right there.
Looking for the tapes. But I believe that we would get up there, we would find them and do that. And that's really the next step because they kind of want to do it. And there's been such a sort of outpouring. We get it on Twitter, and thanks to our podcast where people are like, every day we will, where's the DVD?
Jason and Randy, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Keep it tight north of the border. We'll be reaching out to you guys when we come back to do live shows at the Comedy Bar and live Sklar Bros. You guys will be a part of it.
Thank you so much, guys. It was fun. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Jason and Randy Sklar, the Sklar brothers. If you've never seen Cheap Seats, you can YouTube a clip. The Cheap Seats Putt-Putt Challenge Part 1. I have watched this maybe 15,000 times. It is one of the funniest things you can find on YouTube. If you don't know Cheap Seats, what they do is they watch old Wide World of Sports things and do commentary and just make fun of the people on the shows. They watch old putt-putt challenge. They watch old weightlifting challenge. We could do a show like that for TSN because we've shown a lot of lumberjack challenges and a lot of weightlifting challenges. I say we start
We rip them off. Well, I can say this. So we're going to be showing a lot of lumberjack challenges with the NHL lockout happening right now. By the way, I wanted to mention something that happened on the show this week that was so entertaining to me. And again, we always encourage you to watch SportsCenter at 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific time. That's when we do the show live, and that's when the crazy stuff happens. And this particular week, I don't know what you were thinking about. I don't know why you specifically thought about Tijuana.
The first thing I thought of when I saw what was written in my script.
First, we're going to hear the entire highlight pack narrated by Dan. Give this a listen.
Cavilia night in San Diego. Cavilia is a magical encounter between human and horse. That same show is on in Tijuana, I think.
Oh.
LA now 4 games back in St. Louis for the second wild card spot.
People have sex with horses in Tijuana. Is that what you meant?
Top 9 Dodgers down 2. A.J. Ellis double to the gap in right center. Luis Cruz scores, cuts the lead to 1. Watching this show live at 1 a.m., you'll see a different version on the Morning Loop.
What? Yeah, exactly. What? In fact, producer Tim told us afterward that as soon as you mentioned the Tijuana joke after the Cavalia joke, it was already decided that we were going to redo that highlight pack for the Morning Loop. Before I even explained that people have sex with horses in Tijuana.
Tim, grow a set.
Yeah. Grow a set of nuts next to your golden taint.
I've heard stories about Tijuana. I'm sure everyone has.
Well, my best friend's wife is from Tijuana, and she's not a horse. She's a beautiful woman. Her name's Josie, lovely girl. And she'd be offended that you brought that up, Dan, frankly.
I'm never going to meet this woman, ever.
Oh, you might. And she'll probably be pretty upset with you. Can we hear the shorter version of the Tijuana horse clip?
Cavilia night in San Diego. Cavilia is a magical encounter between human and horse. That same show is on in Tijuana, I think.
Oh.
LA now 4 games back in St. Louis for the second wild card spot.
People have sex with horses in Tijuana. Is that what you meant? Is that what you meant?
Hey, I don't know. A magical encounter between human and horse. I was just letting people's minds fill in the blank.
Yeah. Take it wherever they wanted to take it. So that was a fun moment on the show this week, and that's why we encourage you to watch the show live.
Mention I'm going to Cuba.
Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, you can come. It's going to be me and the fam bam and the mom and sister and the niece, and it's me and a bunch of women.
You and a bunch of ladies.
Yeah, so I'm badly outnumbered.
But you are going to do the podcast with me, episode 3, from Cuba.
Episode 4.
Episode 4 will be from Cuba. You'll be on the toilet with saloon doors. People will be like, first of all, he has violent diarrhea, and he's talking to someone in there.
I'll still be at the resort then, so we should be okay.
Oh, okay.
Billing the exorbitant telephone bill to TSN.
Oh, you better. Bell Media. Well, I mean, they are a phone company. It shouldn't be a problem for them.
Yeah, it should just be a wash, right? If we get phone bills?
The funniest thing about Bell is that sometimes they'll be like, I'll hear people say, well, I'm having a hard time getting a phone, a company phone out of Bell. It's like, what? It's like saying I'm having a hard time getting a company car out of Chevy. Like, pull it together, Bell. Another great thing that happened this week. Now, maybe this is just me. I love talking CFL.
Yeah.
John Cornish. Riders and Stamps play this past weekend. And the crowd in Regina is fantastic, right? They're rowdy. They get on everyone's case. And I guess John Cornish, he'd had enough. So he pulled down his Mark's perfectly pressed pants and mooned the crowd at Mosaic Stadium, which to me is one of the funniest and greatest things ever. No video evidence of
I was waiting to see it, but nothing exists.
Yeah,
Someone's got to have a camera phone shot of it.
Nobody got any. But my favorite part of the whole incident was that the next day, to Cornish's credit, not only paid fines, but also donated some money to charity because he felt so bad about it. But it was his apology the next day. And I think we're just going to break this down, and I'm going to analyze this apology bit by bit. So first he starts off by apologizing to his coaches.
First of all, I want to apologize to Coach Huff, all the coaches.
For my ass. And then he apologized to his teammates.
My teammates.
For my ass. And then he apologized to the Stamps fans.
The Stampeder fans.
For seeing my ass. And then the Stampeders organization.
Stampeder organization.
For seeing my ass. But most importantly, the actual people who saw his ass.
And the Rider fans.
For my ass. Because, you know what? The Rider fans,
They don't deserve that. I mean, no fans deserve.
No fans deserve to see his ass.
I have a question. What charity did he donate to? People Against Bare Bums?
PAB. Can't wait till hashtag PAB starts out. People Against Bare Bums. Right? Why not?
And we have Huff, too, don't we?
People Against Bare Bums. Oh, yeah, we have Huffnagel, too. Can we hear John? So the head coach of the Stampeders, John Huffnagel, also, again, just trying to be as subtle as he possibly can about explaining what happened with John Cornish.
He pulled his pants down low during the game.
Can we hear that again, Christoph? He's so uncomfortable.
He pulled his pants down low during the game.
He was probably thinking, he was probably thinking, do I say he mooned the crowd? And he's like, there's no other way around it.
Really, he pulled his pants down.
Pulled his pants down low during the game.
That's like, yes. Remember way back when, this is probably 14, 15 years ago, Rich Perrant, he was a goalie in the NHL. During warm-up, took one right in the junk, and the injury report came out the next day. He was day-to-day with a lacerated scrotum.
And nobody wants that.
There was no other way to word it. I called the guy. I'm like, you couldn't have said groin. He's like, well, we thought of something else to put it, but there's nowhere else to word it.
You got a lacerated scrotum. You got lacerated nuts. There's nothing you can say. It's going to change that.
Oh, man. If there's a worse injury, I don't think there...
Did you watch the Emmys, Dan?
Nope. Not a second.
Kevin Costner wins for Hatfields and McCoys.
Right.
And just want to play a short version of the Kevin Costner speech. A short version because he actually was giving a pretty nice speech. He was going along pretty well there, thanking everybody. And then toward the end, for some bizarre reason, he decided to talk about the actual Emmy statue and what it reminded him of.
I just have to say that just looking at this thing, it reminds me a little bit of the Olympics, the Olympic sports in London, but it doesn't seem like much of a sport, this trophy here.
What the hell is that?
Doesn't seem like much of a sport.
Don't seem like much of an actor.
Hey, he's good.
What the hell
Waterworld,
was he talking about?
hit.
I remember seeing that movie in the theater, actually.
The little girl from Waterworld, she was in, with Bill Paxton.
That one.
the show, the polygamy one.
Oh, Big Love.
Yeah, she was in Big Love.
Oh, yeah?
And so was Jeannie Triplehorn.
Yeah.
She was also in Waterworld. So they were in that movie when she was like 8, and then they were in Big Love together.
Oh, tell you, I think the listeners are enthralled.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I do like Kevin Costner when he wears the tie and the vest for golf.
But speaking of golf, we heard over the summer, we're not going to name names, but someone who saw him at a charity golf tournament, there was 2 guests. It was Costner and Tom Cochran of Life is a Highway fame.
Yeah.
And this person told us that Tom Cochran was just extraordinarily nice, super nice person, and that Costner was a bit of a
So he wouldn't sign autographs, wouldn't take pictures, what?
Yeah, just sort of kept to himself. And, like if you're going to go to a charity golf tournament, you have to engage with people a little bit. You can't be like, it's enough that I showed up.
Wonder what it must be like for a musician. Do people ask you to sing? Do they say, hey, sing me a chord. Hey, guys, gather around. Let's hear this. And he's like, what? No, I'm not singing.
It probably happens all the time. Alec Baldwin has a great podcast called Here's the Thing, and he talked to Billy Joel.
Oh, I love Billy Joel.
Billy Joel said the same thing. He said every time he goes to a party and there's a piano there, everyone's like, come on over. Give us a little piano, man.
So he sees the piano. He's just like, as soon as he walks in, he's like,
yeah. He's like, this night is taking a horrible turn.
And then Billy hops in a car and drives himself home and hits a tree.
Dan Fouts is an NFL quarterback of yesteryear, and he's now a commentator for the National Football League. And I was watching a game he was doing over the weekend. I think it was the Oakland-Pittsburgh game, Dan. He started to talk about, and you'll appreciate this, having grown up on the farm in Peterborough, greased pigs. Take a listen.
The ball's knocked out by Wheeler. There it's on the ground. Brown sees it squeeze out, just like the country fair greased pig that it might be, and he beats Wheeler to the ball and hangs on for the referees to get there.
You've been to a lot of county fairs in your day?
I once was in a grease pig contest, and I tell you what, pal, that's not easy to corral that little booger.
Little booger?
That's right. What does that even mean?
I've never seen grease pigs at a country fair. I've seen mutton busting, though. It's the sheep riding.
Yeah. Did you ever ride a sheep, Dan?
No, I had a real horse. We all had horses. My horse, Prince, tried to bite me all the time. He'd see me coming. He'd come teeth bashing.
Right at your nads.
No, he was just trying to bite my face.
At any point when you were growing up on the farm, you were experiencing a sexual awakening, did you consider having sex with any of the animals? This is
a magical encounter between human and horse.
Exactly. No, I mean, that's a legitimate question.
The Jay and Dan podcast, brought to you by Mark's Perfectly Pressed Shirts.
We're going to have to look for a new sponsor. We're going to have to find a new sponsor to come on board. I'm really disappointed. The weirdest thing about this past week, the two kind of biggest...
I thought the weirdest thing was you seeing me naked and me being cursed by a possible witch.
Yeah, that was you and your gitch. That was pretty disturbing. No, the
Have
Darrell
you noticed
Cates,
I was working out?
No, I tried to avert my eyes as best I could. As you said, I locked eyes with you, and then my eyes turned to your plate of cheese on the bed. Again, I was like, exactly. I was like, what? How did you get this room service up here so fast? Are you like a Holiday Inn Express VIP member?
Anyway, I cut you off. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, Darrell Cates. This Darrell Cates in Seattle thing. So two weird things happen in Seattle. You got the Monday Nighter, which spurs on the settlement of the NFL referees. And then you have Darrell Cates showing up in Seattle. And, oh, hey, Wayne Gretzky, you want to come to the Seahawks game? I got the private box. Oh, camera's got a shot of you in my private box. Oh.
So I wonder, did Wayner know what he was there for? Or did Cates just say, hey, come to the football game, and then all this other stuff broke because...
No,
kind of putting him in a precarious position.
All right, well, let's just break it down very quickly. First of all, they toured the Key Arena, an arena the WHL Seattle Thunderbirds deemed unusable in 2008. Well, we might go there. Who knows?
We showed footage of a rink. Was that the Key Arena that we showed on SportsCenter? I thought they were showing like an old hog barn.
It looked like the Estevan curling rink in Saskatchewan.
That's right. That was the rink.
That was the rink.
Oh, man.
So
who are they kidding?
Exactly. Who are you kidding, Darrell Cates? This is a guy who had so much goodwill in Edmonton, and now he comes along. First of all, everything about what he's doing right now is so shady. He's promising $100 million for the new arena. Then he says, no, I'm going to pay it over installments of $5.7 million over 35 years. Actually, I'm going to need the city to pay me $6 million to run the arena. Effectively, he's putting no money into the arena whatsoever. But I don't think this sweetheart deal is quite good enough for me, so... you, Edmonton. I'm going to Seattle, and I'm going to bring my buddy Wayne Gretzky into the private box so everyone sees that I might move this team to Seattle, where I would be a tenant in another person's building. I wouldn't even get any of the concessions or revenues.
So if the installment plan is accepted, then the first winner of the Wendy's Kick for $1 million, he could probably go buy an NHL team and have his own rink, too, because he's getting paid till like 2050, isn't he?
What was Brian Deesberg?
I think he's getting $8 a year.
So that was, Wendy's, hey, great company. Yeah. Enjoy Wendy's. They're big CFL sponsors. We've got to tread lightly here. But what happened the first year, the Wendy's Kick for $1 million? I think there was some fine print. And they are paying the $1 million in installments of 33 cents over the next 276 years.
But now it's all a one-time payment.
Yeah, it's all a one-time payment now.
It's an interesting situation. No one's calling his bluff at all. No one.
The mayor of Edmonton, Stephen Mandel, is calling his bluff.
Oh, he's holding his ground. He's dug his boots in.
But you know what's disappointing, Dan, is that all everyone wants is for Darrell Cates to be happy and own this team. Everyone considers him a savior. So this is all really sad for everyone. Like, nobody wants to dislike him in that city. They love him. He essentially came along and they love that he's the owner of the team and he's a hometown boy. But he's just acting like a bit of a douchebag right now. And that's what's disappointing to people. All they want is a new arena, the arena that everybody knows they need. And in the end, he'll get what he wants anyway. That's the worst part. He should know that. He's going to get what he wants anyway.
We keep showing shots of the plans for the new arena. Am I the only one who think it's very phallic-shaped?
You think it looks like a in balls. You think the new Edmonton arena looks like balls.
Christoph, you're causing this guy, he's got to beep there's going to be nothing left of the podcast. It's just going to be all beeps.
What was the Society of Bare Bum Haters? What was that again? People against bare bums, PAB. So sign up for PAB, #PAB on your tweets to us this week. Don't forget to send us tweets, by the way. And here's the Twitter handles: @JandDanTSN, @JOnRight, @TSN O'Toole, and subscribe on iTunes.
And we're going to wrap things up with playing Name That Mark. What we do, we have a Plinko board in studio. We let the Plinko chip fall as it may, and then OnRight has to guess the mark that it lands on. A famous mark. Could be a singer, could be an athlete, could be an actor. Let's see what the Plinko chip finds this time.
Coors showed me how they do things different, all the way down the line. And heat like this, that's important. Why? Well, heat headies up the taste of beer. Any beer. So if you went down to any Coors warehouse, this is what you'd see. Coors, stored cold. Now, Coors is the only one that can say that. It's expensive, kind of a hassle. But Coors distributors think it makes a difference. Right here, a difference worth tasting.
Okay, so that's a commercial from 1985, a Coors commercial, done by a famous Mark.
Mark Messier?
No. Mark Harmon.
Oh, Mark Harmon. Okay. Boy, I had no clue. I was listening to that. You really got me.
Wanted to stump you. I found it. I YouTubed Mark Harmon in a 1985 commercial. He's walking through a field of cows, and then he walks into a Coors plant. It's a minute-long commercial. I don't remember ever seeing this. I was only 10 at the time, but there you go. So you're 1 for 2.
I'm 1 for 2 so far. I like the famous Mark game. This is fun. It's good. That Plinko board is really, really extraordinarily long.
It is a great sound, though. When Plinko, the game comes out, you see that they're playing on Price is Right. You do not change the channel, ever.
Oh, no, I love that. And then I love the other game I love is the yodeling game.
And then he falls off the cliff.
He falls off the cliff, and Drew Carey is barely conscious.
Doesn't he tape 5 of them a day?
Have another Adderall, Drew.
I think they tape too many. If they did 1 a day, he wouldn't be so...
I'm just jealous because it seems like the greatest job in show business.
It is. People just excited to be there. People want to hug you, and then you give them prizes.
I think we have the greatest job in show business. Thanks for listening to the podcast.
Oh, and we forgot to clear up. You said last week we were going to give out prizes for Best Tweet. I guess it's against the law in Canada to do this.
Yeah, that's on me, Dan. Apparently, I said that the tweet of the week, the winner of the tweet of the week would get a package from Mark's of great clothing. Turns out we can't give things away on the podcast. And again, I'm not really sure why. Maybe that's something to do with the Sklar brothers not being able to get into the country.
Well, you have to have certain rules that have to be published on a site. We're just like, I just want to give clothes to people.
We're not capable of doing that. Maybe we could just wait outside the TSN studios and just give people clothes. Just throw them at them as they drive by.
So we'll send
some pants.
We'll send the Sklars some Mark's clothing.
That's right. We'll send them some perfectly pressed shirts and pants for their golden taints. Dan, any final words before we wrap up episode 2? I think it's been a lot of fun.
It's been fun. Can't wait for episode number 3, if we're still allowed.
Sounds good. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Don't forget to tell your friends to subscribe on iTunes. Thanks for listening to the Jay and Dan Podcast.
They're going home.
Brought to you by Mark's Never Iron Perfectly Pressed Shirts. This is the Jay and Dan Podcast.